I suspect there will be more of these. A picture, okay? It's a Polaroid, and it's kind of taped to the picture that was in the St. Petersburg Times, in the Floridian section, the color one. And it's a gentleman who either he or, some people he knows, feels as though he bears a resemblance to me. And the picture has him in a little white golfing cap, and so they cut out a white golfing cap and tape that over the top of the picture and send it all along to me. I can't begin to imagine why this man would even want to look like me. He obviously suffers some type of incredible delusion, thinking that maybe it will help him through life. He does not understand that, if people mistake you for Bob Lassiter, you'll get worse seats in restaurants and things like that. But nonetheless, poor old Arnie sent his picture in, and yes, Arnie, it does bear a striking resemblance. And Arnie, I don't know what I can possibly say. You're obviously a sick man who needs help. Oh, the money is coming in. I mean, we're talking serious money today for the Lassiter Chair Fund. Look at, can you see all of this? Well, we're pushing $30 now. And this is just from one guy. From one guy, Dell, I think his name was, brought it in, hand-carried it in. There's got to be well over $10 in there. Another envelope came in with well over $10 in Canadian quarters. So we're right up around the $30 mark. Of course, that's $30 Canadian, not 30 real dollars. And it shouldn't be long now, and I know I keep on hearing all of these very vague statements coming from management about, well, we're looking at catalogs and, trying to figure out in the budget. Oh, my God, I've created a terrible mess here. And, we're trying to get the chair for Lassiter. Obviously, these people around here are just blowing steam, hot air, whatever you want to call it, and they have no real intention of ever coming up with, look at some weird coins. Wow, this is old stuff. And this is really old stuff. What's the date on this thing? Don't they put dates on their Canadian money? Must be here someplace. Oh, 1955. Yeah, I knew that was an old one. That one's probably silver. Take that one home. And anyway, gee golly, guys, I just can't thank you enough, and it won't be too much longer now. We've only got about $1,470 to go for that high-back judge's chair.
Studio, of course, your voice is wonderful, but whether it's Norman or Ellery or anybody, there's just a good sound to the radio. And what I was getting was like somebody talking from a phone booth. And
well, there's a reason for that.
What is it?
It's because there are two microphones open in the room.
Oh.
And chances are pretty good without knowing the individuals involved. I mean, I know all of the major hosts, but the sidekicks I don't know. But my guess would be that the host has a proper booming radio voice, and the sidekick doesn't. So his mic is open more than the host's mic, and you're picking up two mics, and that's what gives it the hollow sound.
I see. And then
I can do the same thing here. I can open these mics, and as you can hear, all of a sudden there's a very hollow sound in this room.
Yeah.
Because I just opened the other mics.
I see. That explains that. And they seem to do a lot of bantering with other people in the studio. I guess the producers. I didn't like it. Then
Oh, I hate to do this, but what the hell. Harlow in St. Petersburg. Hello,
you must be talking about me. Did you have a nice vacation?
I had a delightful holiday. Why don't you ever take vacations, Harlow?
Well, my yacht is trapped. I can't get out lately. It seems to be sinking.
Well, how about if I gave you all the Canadian quarters that have been coming in for my chair so that we get that yacht up and floating again?
Spanish doubloons would be even better. From Mr. Fisher's collection from Miami area?
Yeah.
That would be much better.
I tell you, made me sit there and scratch my head, especially on the immigration.
And
that made me scratch my head and say, oh, God damn, he's right.
He's right.
Well, maybe next time. One line oh, sure, why not? Arnie in Clearwater. Arnie, baby, I don't understand.
Robert?
Arnie?
Robert, you are one ugly dude.
Well, what do you mean? You sent me your picture, Arnie. You look...
Yeah, I know.
Arnie, you should do everything in your power to try to change that image. It's not going to get you anywhere, Arnie.
Well, I understand that because people are giving me dirty looks. And that's the reason I'm calling. I would like you to suggest that you shave your beard.
Arnie, I've had my beard a long time. How long have you had yours, Arnie?
About a year longer than you. I'm older than you are.
What do you mean a year longer? When did you grow your beard, Arnie?
I think it was 1958.
Oh, give me a break, Arnie.
Really?
1958, you were still, in Jotfords.
Well, okay. Well, that would make me about 14. That's when I started to.
Huh. Well, I'm sorry, Arnie. Yours has got to go.
No, something's got to go. Beard of the year.
Why in God's name you would? Obviously you posed for that picture because you're holding the cigarette in the hand exactly as I held mine in the Times picture. So you went out of your way to make that picture. You went out of your way to make it appear as though you bore a resemblance to me. And I think you're a sick man, Arnie.
Well, that's what you feel, but the point is, we've been an avid listener of yours, at least 6 months in this company. There's 45 people here. And now all of a sudden they put your picture in the paper and everybody thinks I look like you. So I'm just calling just to see if you would change your appearance. So I won't.
Well, I'm not going to. How about, do you have a health plan there? Do they cover plastic surgery?
Yeah, I think they do.
You might consider that. I mean, normally plastic surgery is considered elective, and, they don't pay for it, but this is a different story. I mean, you've got a legitimate gripe here.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to get them to pay for it.
Well, it's either that or I can mail you the bill.
No thanks, Arnie.
Anyway, I just called to say hi, and, keep up the good work. We love listening to you.
Well, I'll try. I got a kick out of the picture. Thank you.
Okay.
Be good. And,
well, this is pertinent to what Jack Ellery attempted to do in your absence. It was clear-cut as to what his motives were. There's no question about it. I feel sorry for the man that he had to stoop so low to attempt to do what he did, in view of the fact that he got thrown out of Philadelphia for attempting to do the same thing. So
well, I have no knowledge of that.
I'm sorry?
I have no knowledge of that.
Well, I do.
Let me explain the situation here a little bit. I don't know how many people listening are aware of what is really going on. It hasn't been hidden, but maybe it's just never been totally put on the table. Jack Ellery came to the station approximately a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. That's when he left Philadelphia. It's when he got thrown out of Philadelphia.
He came, I don't know that he got thrown out of Philadelphia, but he came here, that I know for a fact, under different ownership and different management. Why they hired him, I have no idea. In the meantime, in the interim, the station changed ownership and the station changed management. Jack has a hell of a good contract, okay? I mean, it's a tight contract. The current ownership, current management decided that they didn't want Jack on the air. They had two choices. Fire him and pay him off, or just wait around till he got another job, take him off the air. Jack may have some very legitimate gripes with management. I don't know because I don't know all of the details. But I know that he has no gripe with me, and I was very distraught. Made no bones about it. As far as I'm concerned, he had his say when he had my show. I had my say when I came back. Beyond that, I couldn't care less. 46193. Sally in Tampa. Hi, Sally. You're on the air at WFLA. Hello, Sally. Sally once.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Sally.
I just wanted to call. I tried to get you yesterday, but I missed it some way.
Uh-huh. No business like shows.
I'm listening to myself on the radio.
Yes, you shouldn't do that, Sally. That's a no-no.
No. Well, I want to tell you have a beautiful voice, or we shouldn't say beautiful, but a real man's voice. I enjoy listening to it.
Well, thank you, Sally.
And you say a lot of nice things, that makes sense,
I try. Many people find me very trying.
What?
Many people find me very trying.
Trying?
Yes.
Well, that's because they're probably envious of you,
Probably are.
People that are nice and appeal to a lot of people, some people are so envious of them until they make bad words about it or something. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Well, I haven't got much to say, otherwise I enjoy listening to you.
Okay, thank you, Sally.
First time I called.
Well, thank you.
Bye.
Take care. There goes Sally, a fine woman, probably somebody's granny. With what else? A WFLA traffic report. Gary Baby, how's it going on?
well, Bob Baby, everything is...
Whoa. You don't call me Bob Baby.
What, you didn't mind the other night?
Just do the traffic report, McHenry.
When it comes...
Should never be banned. Never.
Well, they did it on the other...
Oh, I know. I'm very well aware of it. They, have done it again.
I remember hearing Tim apologize. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I had ever heard.
So did I, and I sat in the office with George Yoakum, who was the general manager at the time, and pleaded with him not to make Coles do that because, I'll tell you the whole story. It's not that long. They had, of course, put out this issue, this this memo, Coles couldn't take my jumping on him. He just couldn't deal with it. And so he went to the management there and begged and pleaded with them. And management said, okay, the next person that does it is going to get fired. Well, like 2 days later, Coles did it. He was he was interviewing John Eastman. It was when John Eastman was just coming back to the station, and they were announcing the facts, and he had Eastman on as his guest, and he said to Eastman, have you met Bob Lassiter yet? And Eastman said, no, I haven't. And Coles said, I'm going to have to paraphrase here. I can't remember the exact words. Oh, he's a real jerk. I can't stand him. And so I came in that afternoon knowing that they had no intention of following up on this ridiculous, stupid dictate. And I walked in the door. I blew in the door and bellowed at the top of my lungs to both George Yoakum and Don Richards, general manager and program director. I said, okay, which one of you guys is going to fire Coles? And they looked at me like I, was a madman because they didn't listen to his show. And they said, well, why should we fire him? And so I told them what had gone on, and they went back and listened to a tape of it. And now they were in a real quandary because they knew it was a stupid memorandum, and they didn't know what else to do, so they came up with suspending Tim Coles and then humiliating him by making him record this 60-second spot that was played once an hour throughout the entire broadcast day, throughout the entire term of his suspension, with one exception, on my show, because I refused to allow it on my show. I thought it was so bad. Thought it was so tasteless, so juvenile, so unprofessional.
It was very unprofessional.
It really was, and I stick to that story. That story is the gospel truth. George Yoakum was a jerk. Mm-hmm. Was that he implied that what I was doing wasn't very good, what he was doing was better, and that he really had no control over it whatsoever, but he was going to solicit these postcards, and then he would take the postcards down to the management of the station, and when they saw what the response was, they could do whatever they wanted with it. It was not initially intended in any lighthearted manner. I would have probably not been nearly as angry had it been just on his show, but considering that it was now on my show with him sitting in for me, it just blew a fuse. And consequently, I came back yesterday and told the whole world what I thought about it.
Yeah.
Jack Ellery is not my friend. I've bent over backwards in a very awkward situation here to be as decent to Jack as I could possibly be, and I just don't intend to bend over backwards anymore. I guess that the 6 or 3 months that I have tried to make an awkward situation palatable for both sides was not appreciated. So, hey, that's the end of it.
I really don't feel it was you that replaced Jack anyway. I feel it was more Ted Webb.
Well, no, it actually was me, but that's neither here nor there.
And
I'd been talking to these people for a very long time. There was never any doubt as to who it was that I was going to replace in the conversation. And, hey, such is life. I'll be replaced someday, too. Maybe next week, maybe 10 years from now. I don't know, but it's going to be real unpleasant then as well for me. It's the nature of the business.
They couldn't find a slot for both of y'all during the week, because I do think y'all are the two best things the station has going. I enjoy listening to you and Jack much more than I do Dick and Ted. But then again...
well, you're talking about 4 totally unique styles and 4 totally unique individuals, which is the way it should be.
Right.
I wish we had room on the station for 4 or 5 or 6 different guys. I wish the economics of the business permitted it, because I, too, am a talk radio listener. And it drives me insane that there is no longer any live talk after 7 p.m. in this market.
Oh, really?
It drives me insane. It drives me insane that weekends are such a disaster in talk radio in this market, as they are in most markets, I must point out. But again, it's the economics of the business. The scum, the slant eyes, A memorandum, one of my friends over there has told me, there has been a memorandum issued to the producers and to the talk show hosts that indicate very strongly that any mention of Bob Lassiter's name on that station in the future will be viewed very sternly. The producers are literally under order not to allow you on the air if you want to mention my name, and the hosts are under order to get rid of you pronto if you slip through and do it.
Something tells me, I think, that some forces at the station refuse to accept the fact that you opted for WFLA. I would speculate there are some people who are trying to pass it off as a firing.
Well, it's my understanding that was cleared up towards the end of Mr. Shanks' program yesterday, for which I'm very, very grateful. I was very distraught about that, and I'm delighted to hear that the language was defined more clearly as to let go. It was apparently yesterday afternoon divulged that let go meant that he wanted to leave and we didn't stop him. As though, they could. They don't use guns over there, and I wasn't under contract. There wasn't a damn thing they could do to stop me. But I'm delighted that there was a clarification on that language.
So I assume that you're not going to be intent on suing Shanks, like you said you were going to do yesterday.
Well, he cleared up the language. There's nothing to sue for.
I see.
It has been clarified to my satisfaction.
Yeah, but they...
$99 million. Think of it this way. Suppose that tomorrow all of our leading scientists decided that they wanted to go to... suppose the Soviet Union said, you come here and we'll give you $500 million.
And women.
And women. And vodka. And good times and a summer house and the whole bit. And suppose that a significant number of our key scientists said, hey, all right, let's go. I mean, obviously a crazy scenario.
Well,
wouldn't you hope that this country would prevent them from leaving?
With
for the good
secondary
of the nation?
bid, perhaps. Or,
for the good of the nation?